I never thought I'd be the type of person to write something like this online, but my world feels like it's collapsing, and I don't know if I'm losing my mind or if I'm the only sane one left in my family. For context, I've been married to my wife Rachel for almost 7 years. We met in college, built a life together, bought a modest house in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio, and I honestly thought we were partners in everything. But things started to fall apart when my dad got sick. My father, 68M, was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer last year. My mom passed when I was a kid, so it's always just been him and me. He worked 2 jobs my whole childhood to make sure I could go to college. He never complained, never asked for help. When he got sick, there was no question in my mind. I had to be there for him. Rachel, however, didn't see it that way. At first, she was supportive. She came with me to appointments, even cooked for him sometimes. But when things got harder, when I started spending more nights at Dad's house than my own, her attitude shifted. "Why do you always have to be there?" she snapped one evening when I came home after another overnight at the hospital. "He has nurses, doesn't he? You're neglecting your own wife." I tried to explain, "Rachel, he's my father. He's dying. He doesn't trust anyone else with certain things. He barely eats unless I'm the one who makes him soup. This isn't permanent. He doesn't have much time left." Her eyes went cold. "So you're just going to abandon me until he's gone? What about our marriage?" I swallowed my frustration and tried to reassure her. I made sure the bills were paid, the lawn mowed, her car serviced. I even set up weekly date nights, though half the time she canceled, saying she didn't feel like it. Meanwhile, Dad kept getting weaker. I spent hours at his bedside, holding his hand while he whispered memories from his youth, stories I'd never heard before. One night, when he could barely talk, he squeezed my hand and said, "Son, you're the only reason I'm not afraid." I cried myself to sleep that night on the hospital couch. The real breaking point came 2 weeks ago. I got home late, exhausted, smelling like antiseptic and takeout, only to find Rachel waiting at the kitchen table with her arms crossed. "I can't do this anymore," she said flatly. "You've chosen him over me. If you walk out that door again tonight, don't bother coming back." I stood there, numb. My father had just had a rough night, struggling to breathe, and I knew I needed to be there. My heart pounded as I asked her, "Are you really making me choose between my dying dad and you?" Her silence said everything. I grabbed a duffel bag, stuffed some clothes in it, and left. Now I'm staying full-time at Dad's house. He's fading fast, but at least I know I'm doing right by him. Rachel, meanwhile, hasn't called once. She even blocked me on social media. Part of me is devastated. Another part is furious. I keep asking myself, was I wrong to put my dad first? Dad passed away last week. He went peacefully, in his sleep, while I was holding his hand. I'll never forget the way he whispered, "I'm proud of you," just a few hours before. That moment is burned into my soul. The funeral was small, just a handful of relatives, a few of his old coworkers, and me. Rachel didn't show up. I told myself maybe she was too angry at me. Maybe she didn't know what to say. Maybe she just couldn't handle it. But deep down, I think she just didn't care. After the service, I drove home, dreading the emptiness. I wasn't sure if I'd find my wife there or if she'd moved out for good. Her car was in the driveway, so I thought maybe, just maybe, she was ready to talk. Instead, I walked into the living room and froze. Rachel was on the couch, tangled up with another man. My best friend, Ethan. I can't even describe the shock that went through me. It was like my body shut down. I just stood there, my father's obituary folded in my pocket, watching my wife kiss the guy who had been my best man at our wedding. They both jumped up when they saw me. Ethan stammered, "Man, it's not what it looks like." Rachel didn't even bother to lie. She pulled her cardigan tight around her and said, "You weren't here. You left me alone for months. I needed someone, and Ethan was there." I wanted to scream, to throw something, to collapse. Instead, I just said, "My dad's body isn't even cold, and this is what I come home to?" Ethan had the nerve to look ashamed. Rachel didn't. She shot back, "You chose him over me. Don't act like this is all my fault." I grabbed my keys and walked right back out. I don't even remember the drive, just the pounding in my chest. For the past week, I've been crashing at Dad's empty house, sorting through his things. I can't bear to sleep in the bed Rachel and I shared, knowing Ethan was probably in it the second I left. Yesterday, though, something unexpected happened. The lawyer handling Dad's estate called me. He wants me to come in next week for the reading of the will. Here's the thing. Dad never talked about money. I always assumed he barely scraped by, especially after all the medical bills. But the lawyer's tone on the phone was strange, almost congratulatory. Rachel, of course, found out. She showed up at Dad's house today for the first time since I left. She was all smiles, acting like nothing had happened. "Babe," she said softly, reaching for my hand, "I know we've had our issues, but I've been thinking, we can work this out. We're stronger together." I pulled my hand back. "Did Ethan tell you about the will?" She froze for a second, then forced a laugh. "Of course not. I just miss you." But her eyes gave her away. Hungry, calculating. I don't know what Dad left behind. I don't even care about the money. But I have this gnawing feeling that whatever it is, Rachel's about to come crawling back harder than ever. And this time, I'm not sure I'll be able to stop myself from showing her just how done I really am. Walking into my dad's lawyer's office felt surreal. I half expected him to tell me there was nothing left, that all of Dad's savings went to medical bills. Honestly, I was ready for that. I never sat by my dad's side for money. I just wanted to make sure he didn't die alone. But what I heard knocked the air out of me. The lawyer, Mr. Caldwell, handed me a thick envelope and said, "Your father was a very careful man. He made arrangements years ago." Inside was the will. Dad had left me everything. Not just the modest house I'd been staying in, but also accounts I never knew existed. Stocks, bonds, even some land out in rural Kentucky that he bought decades ago when prices were low. Altogether, it was worth just over $2.3 million. I sat there stunned. This can't be right. Dad was a mechanic his whole life. Mr. Caldwell smiled. "Your father was frugal. He invested quietly, never told anyone. He wanted to surprise you, and he wanted to make sure you'd be okay after he was gone." I broke down right there in the office. I didn't cry when Dad died, not really, but hearing that he'd worked his whole life, suffered, sacrificed, just to leave me something this big, it shattered me. Of course, Rachel found out within 24 hours. I don't even know how. Probably Ethan spilled, or maybe she stalked my emails. She showed up again, this time dressed up like she was heading to a gala. Hair done, makeup perfect, perfume clouding the room. "Honey," she said, her voice syrupy sweet, "I'm so sorry for everything. I was just lost without you. But we can start fresh. We can use this money to finally live the life we dreamed of. Travel, maybe start that family we always talked about." I stared at her, my chest tight with rage. "You didn't even show up to Dad's funeral. You were in my house with Ethan while I buried him. And now you want to talk about a fresh start?" Her eyes narrowed, the mask slipped. "You owe me after abandoning me? Don't forget, I'm your wife. Legally, what's yours is mine too." That line hit me like a brick. She wasn't even pretending anymore. This wasn't about us. It was about her getting her hands on Dad's legacy. I told her to leave. She didn't. She smirked and said, "We'll see what the courts say about that." I called Mr. Caldwell as soon as she left. He reassured me, because Dad's assets were inherited, they're protected as separate property in my state, not marital assets. Rachel has no claim unless I willingly commingle the money. For the first time in months, I felt hope. But I also knew Rachel wasn't going to back down quietly. And Ethan? He's been blowing up my phone, begging me to hear him out. I have a sinking feeling that the storm is just beginning. I thought Rachel might back off once she realized she couldn't touch my inheritance. I underestimated her. 2 days after the will reading, I got served. Divorce papers. And not just a clean split either. Rachel's lawyer was going after alimony, claiming I had abandoned her for months and left her financially destitute. The irony is almost funny. I paid every bill while she sat at home, and she hasn't worked in over 3 years because she didn't feel like it. But the kicker? She put Ethan down as a witness in her filing, my best friend, the man I caught on my couch with her. I lost it. I called Ethan, demanded to know what the hell he was thinking. He actually had the audacity to say, Man, I love her. It just happened. You were never around. But if you sign off on giving her what she deserves, maybe we can all move forward without this getting uglier. I laughed so hard I almost dropped the phone. You think you're going to lecture me about doing the right thing after you two betrayed me while my father was dying? Ethan got defensive, muttering something about love is complicated. I hung up before I said something that would get me arrested. That night, I vented to Mr. Caldwell. He told me to keep everything documented and stay calm. Rachel and Ethan are digging their own graves by leaving such a clear trail of infidelity. He suggested hiring a PI just to make things airtight. So I did.
Best money I've ever spent. Within a week, I had a folder full of photos, texts, and even a video of Rachel and Ethan together. They weren't even discreet. Fancy dinners charged to Ethan's card, hotel stays, them walking into his apartment arm in arm. One of the texts from Rachel literally said, "Once his dad dies, we can finally stop sneaking around." That text nearly broke me. Not because I loved her anymore, I didn't, but because it showed just how cold and calculated she had been while I was drowning in grief. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. His response was immediate. This is gold. She's torpedoed her own alimony claim. When Rachel realized I wasn't budging, she changed tactics again. She started showing up at my dad's house late at night, pounding on the door, crying, begging. One night she screamed so loud the neighbors called the cops. She told them I had locked her out of her own house. Thankfully, I had my paperwork in hand to prove I was living at Dad's place and that she had no right to be there. The cops escorted her off the property. Watching her walk down the driveway in the flashing blue lights, mascara streaking her face, I felt something unexpected. Peace. Ethan hasn't shown his face since, but word around town travels fast. Apparently, his long-term girlfriend, yeah, he had one too, dumped him the moment she saw the PI's photos. He's now living in some cheap rental after she kicked him out. For the first time, it feels like the tide is turning. But part of me wonders, how much lower are they willing to sink before this is finally over? The divorce hearings were brutal. Rachel showed up in designer clothes, fake tears streaming down her cheeks, painting herself as the abandoned wife. Ethan even sat in the back of the courtroom one day, glaring at me like I was the villain who'd ruined his life. But when my lawyer presented the PI's evidence, the mask came off. Photos, receipts, the text messages, that one damning line about once his dad dies. The entire courtroom went silent. Rachel's face went from smug to pale in seconds. The judge didn't mince words. He flat out told Rachel that not only was she not entitled to alimony, but her behavior was egregious given the circumstances. The divorce was granted swiftly, with me keeping the house and every cent of my inheritance. Rachel got nothing but her personal belongings. The fallout didn't end there. Ethan's girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend, posted screenshots of the PI's findings on Facebook. Their little affair became public knowledge overnight. Friends, coworkers, even Ethan's own family cut him off. He tried reaching out to me, saying, "Man, we can fix this. We were like brothers." I blocked his number. Rachel, meanwhile, tried one last stunt. She sent me a letter, handwritten, begging for one more chance, promising she had learned her lesson. I didn't even open the second page. I tossed it straight into the trash. It's been 3 months since the divorce was finalized. I've been slowly fixing up Dad's house, turning his workshop into a little studio space where I tinker with cars the way he used to. Sometimes I catch myself expecting him to walk in with a mug of coffee, but then I remember he's gone. Still, I feel him here with me. I also started therapy. Losing him, then the betrayal on top of it, it nearly crushed me. But I'm starting to see it differently now. Dad spent his life sacrificing for me. When he left me that inheritance, it wasn't just money. It was his final way of saying, live better than I did. Don't let anyone drag you down. Rachel and Ethan got what they deserved. He lost his girlfriend, his friends, his reputation. She lost her marriage, her meal ticket, her mask of being the perfect wife. Last I heard, she's bouncing between short-term jobs and living with a cousin. Me? I'm free. And if there's a lesson in all this, it's that loyalty matters. When the people you love need you, you show up, even if it costs you. Because in the end, that's what defines your character. My dad died proud of me. That's more valuable than any inheritance. And Rachel? She'll have to live with the fact that she threw away a man who would have given her the world just to chase cheap thrills with my so-called best friend. I walked through hell, but I came out stronger. And honestly, I wouldn't trade that for anything.
If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.